Hi, Morgan Smith here with Texarkana Game Day. Morgan Smith here with Texarkana Game Day. Live from the Star in Frisco. I'm here with my head coach, Josh Gibson. How exciting is this week, man, playing after Thanksgiving through a third year in a row?
Yeah, it's special because it's Thanksgiving. It's hard to get to this round in Texas. You got 16 teams left and start off with a ton of them. And so our coaches are just thankful that we're here, thankful we got another week to spend together.
Man, I heard last night y'all had some fun.
Yeah, we had a good time. Get the families out there, kind of hang out, get to show a lot of gratitude, a lot to be thankful for, and talked about a lot of those things and honored some players who graduated that are still playing at the next level. We had probably 10 of those guys come back and got to talk about those guys too. Santa Claus showed up, looked like he ate a bunch of turkey. He's getting bigger every year, and that was fun. But we just had a great night.
Well, man, let's talk about this football game. I know you have this time of year, you're spending every minute in the office scheming for it. What do we expect to see from your team tonight?
I hope you see the same thing I think that's been going on. We're getting better each week. They were really focused. They grinded hard this week. They want to play a dominant game. I feel like we've done that the last 5 times we've come out, and I hope it's a continuation of that. We're playing a really talented team in Sunnyvale. They're ranked 2 in some polls and 4 in another. But our guys are hungry, and they had a great week.
They're going to throw the ball around a little bit, right?
Yeah, they got a really good quarterback. Probably overall the best quarterback we played this year. He's a dual threat. He can chunk it. He can throw it. Dad played at West Point. He's that type of kid. Wow. He can run it too. He has good feet on him, and so he makes them balanced, which makes them tough to defend.
Yeah. Well, looking at some of their film this week, it does look like they throw the ball a little bit more than some of the teams that we've looked at so far this year. Have y'all done anything special on defensive backs to get them prepared for that?
Not anything more than what you do against a team like Carthage or Gilmer. Carthage had 2 D1 receivers out there and a really good quarterback themselves, and so it's tough to defend those guys. I think we had a good game plan against them. The coaches have a good game plan. I think getting our kids to play confident, and I think they're primed and ready to do that will be key because they do put it up there, and we got to make plays.
Hey, so before we get too far into this game, how about KJ last week? Did he ball out or what?
Yeah, he did, and it's so fun to see that. It's fun to see different kids do that, but for him to kind of play great football the whole year and then go to a level where everybody's like, all right, that's the #1 team in state, and that dude looked like he was the best player on the field, but you've been able to say that about Ben or Bruce or Landon Jackson and Burris, and then you say it about Nick Martin, and there's KJ showing what he can do. He's a special athlete.
I like KJ a lot.
I was comparing schedules, and it seemed like you guys might have played a little bit tougher schedule. You think that's going to be beneficial to you guys here tonight?
Lord, I hope so, because we all go through these gauntlet schedules in East Texas, and we played 8 state-ranked teams, and it's tough. And LE did the same thing. They've done it 2-3 years in a row. You can't find games, and the dudes that you can find are dudes, and it usually helps you by the time you get to the playoffs. And so we really do hope and trust in that process that it'll pay off against a team like Sunnyvale, who is an unbelievable team, but they haven't played a state-ranked team yet. And so we're hoping that's a feather in our cap. Don't know it.
They get one tonight, I think, Coach.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So and they got an opportunity to do something special. But I think us playing so many good teams, I think that does prepare us for a type of game like this.
So with the schemes you have tonight, who do we need to watch out for on offense and defense?
Man, I'd say all of them, and here's why. You don't keep advancing in these type of games unless all your kids are playing well.
That's true. Very good point.
If somebody has a game where it's not their best game, you can fade up one corner, and you don't have to beat all 11 at that time. So we need all 22, and then those guys rotating in, having their best games for us to keep playing.
I wanted to ask you, 3rd year in a row playing after Thanksgiving.
I said that wrong last week. This is our 4th year in a row, which is really special.
4th year in a row. Yeah. I'm sorry. Even more, I was going to ask you a question about experience. On you, preparation and getting your team prepared, how has it changed for you over the last 4 years?
The format hadn't changed a lot. I think the kids, there's an expectation and that belief that comes with it is so key. And I think that's why you see a lot of really good football teams, like a Highland Park who just got beat by Lone Star. But you see those teams there each year, and they do it, and they're really not ever hitting a down cycle. And they've got great kids. They got an elitist mindset, but a lot of belief. I hope that's what we're developing right now, but I know it's helped us these past 4 years.
Man, we're excited about tonight. Y'all got anything else?
I'm just excited to watch PG put it on tonight.
Let's go.
I have too.
Coach, I got a question for y'all. Did you put any regulations on your kids eating yesterday?
Man, that's
Tony would ask that question.
Hey, and that's
puts me
why not? That's a great question. On Thursday, who doesn't overeat on that particular Thursday? But that's why we get them up for that walk through. I think I was comatose around 3:30 or 4, and I was like, man, I don't even want to go to this walk through tonight. But I needed to walk my rear around, and the kids did too. And getting up and moving around for about an hour and a half helped us a lot.
Absolutely. That was rough play today.
What a great question to end on. Coach, best of luck tonight. We're rooting for you. And we'll watch post game.
Appreciate y'all.
Guys.
Good luck, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back with Superintendent Pirtle.
Find yourself in need of emergency care, come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are locally owned with board-certified physicians for all your emergencies. We accept all private insurance. At Texarkana Emergency Center, we have on-site lab, pharmacy, x-ray, ultrasound, and CT. Come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. Real ER without the wait. The next generation of emergency care.
Another week, another round of playoffs. We're here at the Star for the Pleasant Grove Hawks, taking on Sunnyvale. We've got Jay Davis, Chad Pirtle, Superintendent of Pleasant Grove Schools, and Tony Langford. And I'm Craig Jenkins from Texarkana Game Day. I know we always ask you this, another week, what's it like being back in the Star?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I think this tonight is really special because it's not just Pleasant Grove that's here. There's a lot of friends and a lot of family that are in for Thanksgiving. I've already talked to probably 5 different families up there and met extended family who are here tonight at the game watching Pleasant Grove that were in from out of town. And so that's really neat. It's not just Pleasant Grove here supporting our Hawks tonight. It's much bigger than that.
My son's in from New York watching tonight.
I saw him tonight. I saw him outside.
You guys traveled really well again. You want to speak on your fans and how well they've traveled again to come out here and show support?
You know, I say it every week, that's just what Pleasant Grove does, and there's a culture of supporting our kids out here, and really happy about that, and our community is behind our kids and whatever they're doing, whether it's band playing down there, the Showstoppers, our cheerleaders, whatever, our Aladdin Junior play, whatever it is, our community shows up for our kids and loves on our kids while they're out there competing.
Now, did you have a chance to go to last night's hot chocolate fiesta?
I did not. I was out of town. We were in Aledo at some family and celebrating Thanksgiving with my wife's family. And so we weren't able to make it out last night.
My wife and I went there at the beginning, and it was pretty amazing seeing the excitement that the boys had. Of course, Quinn was on the overhead again, getting everybody hyped up. But it was amazing to me last night. It still looked like we probably had 250 to 300 parents show up to it, just for a walkthrough.
Coach Gibson does such a great job of building that community and that just bringing people together. And that's one thing that Friday Night Football does, brings people together. Maybe more so than anything else we do in our school. It brings people together, unifies one community and one group. More than anything in our school district, quite possibly, or in school districts, especially when you're having a lot of success. And Coach Gibson does a great job of the pep rally and the community gathering last night at for Thanksgiving, where again it's just bringing people together and supporting our Hawks, and it gives us another opportunity to love our kids.
We've got Todd Marshall joining us. Todd, I know we asked you the question last week, but what was it like all week leading up into this big game? Because this is a super huge game.
Well, it's like Mr. Pirtle just mentioned about the family atmosphere. The guys, Coach Gibson does a great job every week of just making sure the guys just enjoy the moment and live in the moment, because it's week to week right now, and our guys know that. And he reminds them of that, and as a family, they are a family, and every week this is just another opportunity to be together, and we want to keep that going. We want to stay together for a few more weeks, and that's what they preach, and that's what they focus on, and just. He said they've had a great week of practice, and our guys are just locked in right now. And like Mr. Pirtle mentioned last night, the community gathering and how that's just a special time for everyone. But again, our guys are ready. Just want to keep it going and stay together for a few more weeks.
One thing Coach Gibson does, and I talk about bringing people together, but you guys have put the program out there as much as anybody ever has, Texarkana Game Day, and we're thankful for that. But what you see with the videos that you guys produce is not a dog and pony show. It's real.
Yeah.
And Coach Gibson is real. And I'm telling you, I have 2 boys that are coming up, and there's nobody else that I would want my son to play for than Josh Gibson, because the culture of the program is they're gonna love these kids. They're going to grow these kids. They're going to build these kids into young men and women. But Coach Gibson, as well as anybody I've ever seen, actually, it's not even close, does that and builds that culture and builds these young men. It's amazing to see. And I'm telling you, I want my kids playing for Coach Gibson.
Well, kids will bend over backwards and play hard for you when they know you care about them.
And they know
he definitely cares about it.
They know Coach Gibson cares about his kids.
You do have some influence on him staying, so just keep that in mind.
I will do everything I can to make sure Coach Gibson stays. Not to put me on the spot or anything, right, Tony?
Yeah. Second week in a row.
But as he mentioned, he's right. It is. I mean, we're not just growing football players; we're growing young men, and that's what we have out there. We have young men football is just a catalyst used to teach these guys how to be good husbands, good fathers, and good men one day in society. That's what's most important and what's so special.
Well, it's amazing how much of that is getting into the other programs as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got so many of our football players that are in theater. They're in every single club out there. Plus, his influence on the other coaches. I mean, even from the drill team standpoint, my daughter loves him to death. And so, it's just amazing how much our coaching staffs do impact those kids, whether they're their coach or not.
And I'll give you an example. And it was one of the first things I saw when I came to Pleasant Grove High School, and just making my observations, is after lunch, who stays around to kind of tidy up the cafeteria? Coach Gibson's football players, because that's what he expects of them. And we're going to take care of our stuff, and we're going to be leaders in that too. And picking up the cafeteria after all your classmates have gone to class is maybe not the most fun thing to do, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's what Coach Gibson.
Humility and discipline.
I'll tell you what, it's amazing. And that's just one of so many things that Coach Gibson has in place.
Not only is he keep coaching them football, and each Friday night he's coaching them the necessary steps they'll need in life.
That's right.
Down the road.
And I want to piggyback off what Jay said a minute ago about just it's bleeding over in other programs. And I saw Brett Walker a few minutes ago. He's here at the game, and last year he graduated last year, and he was a wide receiver on our team. He played on the state championship team 2 years ago. Played last year, state finalist team. But when we talk a lot about the high school being an A&M school, well, Brett Walker started out here on Friday night, but he was also in theater. And he had a starring role in a theater production last year. And, so he's in many different and that's what a lot of these guys are. They're not just football players. They're involved in other areas in our school, and other programs in our school, not just out here on a Friday night. So that to me is very special.
We spoke to Coach Gibson before the game, and I was mentioning that I went down their schedule and kind of compared schedules. And you guys definitely played some harder teams, and I was asking him if that would be beneficial here tonight, and has it been beneficial all year? Do you think that's going to be beneficial to the Hawks tonight, since they played such a tough schedule all year long?
I do think it will be beneficial, especially when you get in there as a tight game, tough game. But don't take anything away from Sunnyvale.
Absolutely.
They're undefeated for a reason. They're undefeated because they know how to score and they know how to stop people. And they're going to give us a good challenge tonight. And so don't underestimate Sunnyvale over there.
Without a hard schedule, you got to know how to close out games. Winning is a mentality.
You got to know how to win.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, it's the third round of the playoffs. This is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy right now, as much as we like it to be. But this will be a good ball game. Again, they're an undefeated team, and but we're battle tested as well. We've got Carthage won earlier today. We played them, and then you've got a Gilmer team who is playing later tonight as well, who we could see next week if we're fortunate enough to get out to win tonight. So
I think of the 16 teams that are left, there are 5 still with perfect seasons. I think after tonight we'll end up with 2, and that's assuming that PG pulls out their W tonight. But coming in perfect, there's a little more pressure sitting on that as well. I know our guys had that a couple of years ago, and it's tough to walk away knowing that you're going into a game with a perfect season. There's a little more stress on that as well.
Yeah, I want to turn the boat just a little bit right here, but it's been on my heart to recognize 2 kids that don't get a whole lot of recognition. And we talk about Landon, we talk about Tori, and we talk about Marcus, but seldom do we talk about Cameron Weekly and Jamie Lewis. Yeah. And those guys are down there on that defensive line, and Cameron Weekly is not a small child. He is a good sized nose, and football, it starts in the middle. Right. And if you can't stop that middle, it makes it hard to stop other things. And Cameron Weekly is consistent stopping that middle for the Hawks, which allow other players to make a lot of plays.
Who else don't get enough credit is Dylan. Dylan Williams, to me, don't get enough credit. He's played some great football.
Yeah. And the thing about Cameron also, his number's been called a lot on offense the last several weeks due to injuries with Connor Stanfield getting hurt. So Cameron's had to play offensive tackle quite a bit. And so he's been called on to go both ways, and that's a lot on a big man inside who's getting after it every play. So he's really stepped it up. I'm glad you pointed him out and recognized both of those young men.
Well, and they've got 2 strong running backs that we're gonna face tonight. So those 2 are definitely gonna have to step up tonight and continue to block that. Just sort of keep that contained on the inside.
Real quickly before we go to commercial, we're gonna put you guys on the hot seat. What are you guys expecting here tonight?
You go first, Doug.
Well, I'm expecting a Pleasant Grove win. First and foremost, I think it will be a good football game. Again, this is the third round of the playoffs. You've got an undefeated Sunnyvale team who's coming in with a lot of confidence, something to prove, they feel like. But again, I know we're a battle-tested team. I know how hard our guys work. I know the work ethic our guys have, and I believe in our guys. And I think that's going to be the difference tonight, that we're going to go out and get another win tonight and move on to the regional final next week.
I believe you win games up front. And it's our defensive line against their offensive line, the pressure, how much pressure can we get on the quarterback and how much we can get in his head to make a mistake here or there. And then on the opposite side, our offensive line against their defensive line and opening up space for Bruce and the team to run the ball and then hopefully get them in, hit them over the top with a pass. But I think I feel good about our chances up front because I think we're pretty good there, but again, don't underestimate Sunnyvale because they're a really good team too.
As far as the eye test, their line looks a lot smaller than ours. That don't always matter, but I think Sunnyvale's going to have to get rid of the ball and get rid of it fast. If they don't, I think they're going to have a long day.
And to speak to what you were saying earlier, you don't make it here by not being a good team. So Sunnyvale is definitely a good team. I think it's going to come down to who's coached slightly better, and I'm going to give that edge to Pleasant Grove. I've been around it all year, and he just sends those kids to war every week, and I don't expect anything different here tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm not going to bet against Coach Gibson. Right. You don't bet against Nick Saban. You don't bet against Bill Belichick. You don't bet against Coach Gibson. I think we're in that echelon there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial. We'll be right back from the Star.
Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful, handcrafted stone is our passion, and we ensure our customers receive the quality they deserve. We stand by our word, we stand by our products, services, and work that we do. Our team of experienced craftsmen and product experts have been perfecting the craft of fabricating and installing stone since 1998. Visit the Design Center at Red River Lumber to see the many beautiful stone options available for your next project.
a strong work ethic, takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire good people. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills for the right jobs. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Texarkana Game Day, we are back to the Star. We're going to talk about some of the other games that are going on. Gilmer and Connolly. Tony, you want to tell us a little bit about those guys?
Yeah, Connolly's a running team quarterback. They have a really good running quarterback, a really good running back. Gilmer's going to have a tall task. Their quarterback just went down, one of their star defensive players. But what I will say, that a Tennyson kid is coming in as a second string, and they've got a long bloodline of talent. A bunch of Tennysons have come through Gilmer. We're able to play some great football. So I would favor Connolly, but I think it's going to be a good game.
What's the story with their defensive end? I heard they had a really nice defensive end.
Yeah, I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to speak, I think he was leading the team in sacks, and I heard he tore his ACL in practice. That's always a big loss. But Gilmer, talking to the parents down there, I know a bunch of them, they're very deep. So that always helps.
I was able to watch a little bit of footage on Connolly, and I was impressed with their running game. I mean, they have a running back, lots of moves, big guy. He was pounding the rock. I was very impressed.
Well, and I think Connolly's going to do that all night long. Gilmer's just going to have to, stop that. One thing that I will say with Tennyson, he impressed me a lot whenever they played Pleasant Grove, and the fact that he knows that he's going to get to play the whole game, that may put his offense at a little more at ease, that they know what they can expect. Because sometimes when you go back and forth quarterbacks during the game, that can sometimes get your offense off kilter. But I expect Gilmer to pull this one out, but close. I'm excited to see what Tennyson can do.
Let's talk a little bit about Sunnyvale. They've got a quarterback, Makeda, I think is his name. Got over maybe 1,100 or 2,000
yards and
passing.
27 TDs, I believe. Yeah, 27
touchdowns, as well as some rushing yards as well. They've got a good running back in Emmanuel Ariza. I think he's over 1,100 yards rushing. And then they've got receivers in Noah McDeal that can do it on the outside. What do you guys expect out of those guys here tonight?
Well, I think their quarterback is going to be, where their offense runs through. But doing my research this week, I was impressed at how many long runs their running backs had.
Yeah.
They had 8. Each one of them had 8 games where they had at least a 20-yard rush, and I believe they each had 5 games where they had at least a 40-yard rush. And so when you're getting yardage like that out of your running backs, that opens up what your quarterback can do. This is going to be a fourth-year quarterback, good leader of the team. And so I anticipate them to try to take advantage of any type of weakness in our defensive backfield. And, of course, reading the paper today, I think we're going to be willing to give up some of those short passes. We're going to try to keep them in front of us. So it'll be interesting, the cat and mouse game that the coaches do play, and I think Gibson is going to come out ahead on that deal.
In a way, they're sort of like Pleasant Grove. If you look down the stat sheet, you can see probably 2 to 3 deep at running back, where guys have 500 yards, 800 yards, and then a lead rusher with over 1,100 yards. Let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. 2 players that stood out to me were those linebackers that they have. One is Devin Sterling, I think is his name.
114 tackles, I think.
Awesome tackler, and then a strong safety. I can't remember his name. I've got it wrote down, but he's also a good Landry Laird. Yeah. If he gets his hands on that interception, he's looking to take it to the house. He's averaging about 30-something yards in return on interceptions. So that's definitely going to be something they have to watch.
Well, the 4th leading tackler on their team is their quarterback.
Yeah.
So that could be
also one of the top rushers.
Yeah, and that could be a little telling, getting into that 4th quarter. Hearing from some of their fans, they haven't had to play the 4th quarter. Tonight they're going to have to, I think, to stay in this game. And the question is, can their quarterback play 4 quarters playing both sides? That's tough to ask.
Yeah,
and he hasn't had to do that all year.
It's going to be another one of these games where you can expect the Pleasant Grove front 4 to get a lot of pressure with those defensive ends. Is he going to run it, or is he going to throw it and get it out of there quick? That's something we'll have to see.
Guys, I think they're going to have to get it out of there quick. I think they're going to have a little trouble running the ball. I think they're going to have to get it out as quick as they can. I don't think they're going to have any time, and I look for Pleasant Grove to win it at least by 2 touchdowns. I give them a 2 touchdown.
Well, I think their quarterback is probably going to tuck it a little bit more tonight. I'll be surprised if he doesn't have 100 yards rushing tonight.
And that's the thing. He may have 100. I've seen running backs have maybe 100 yards, but that's pretty much it. You know, it's a matter of getting the ball in the end zone. He can break an 80-yard run, but if he doesn't get it in the end zone down here, you just got 80 yards. Right. You know, so it's.
And one note that sort of caught my eye, and I don't think it's going to get down to the kicking game, but their kicker has actually made a 50-yard field goal this year, and he's 3 for 4. So, you know, when it comes to the kicking game, I think both coaches have somebody they can rely on. But knowing that your guy can kick 150 yards, that definitely, you know, may open up a little bit more of the, you know, the offense, and it may require them to be a little more conservative at the beginning. You know, where, you know, in some situations they would still go for it, but if you know your kicker's got a leg and it's early in the game, you may go ahead and let him just go ahead and kick one.
One thing I was thinking about is, you know, how the team watches the game from the week before and some during the season. Pleasant Grove probably had a really good game, Jake, that they had to watch last week. Yeah. So I'm thinking KJ Hicks, I spoke to him earlier. I told him, different week, do the same thing.
Well, and one of the things that sort of, you know, I guess impressed me is the fact that our guys just keep doing it each and every week, and it's not necessarily just one standout. I mean, we've had about 3 or 4 games where we've had different guys stand out.
Yeah.
And so that's impressive to me, to be able to see a team, and they don't necessarily want the accolades. You know, every time they sort of defray that the team did this, the team did that, and that's what's really impressive with those young men.
That just speaks to the depth on the team, because each week it's somebody different. And I was telling a buddy of mine, he hadn't seen Pleasant Grove play, but he came and watched them last week, and he was impressed with the run game. And I was like, they're 3, 4, 5 deep at running back. You got Bruce, you got Nick, you got KJ, you got Logan Johnson. I mean, you can pretty much plug anybody in and still be effective on the ground. It's just.
And you still have Kohler. I love watching him run the ball. I mean, he just wants to knock people's heads off.
I love watching Logan Johnson.
He runs hard. He runs hard. I love the little jet sweep.
I will say this, guys. Sunnyvale hasn't scored over 28 points the last few weeks, and they're going to have to score more than 28 points tonight.
And one of those was against Pittsburgh, and that could lead towards us having a big game, because, you know, I think it was 28-14. You know, it was 2 scores by Pittsburgh, and we had them handled.
25-13
in that game, as well as the community game. Both teams scored about the same points, and both were blowouts or whatever. So kind of was looking at that, but that doesn't have really anything to do with what we're going to have tonight. Well, we're just going to look around real quick. We can see the cheerleaders starting to line up, waiting on the team to take the field. I think it's going to be a great night for football. I think we're in for a definite show here tonight.
I am too, and I'm definitely impressed with, you know, the folks traveling on Thanksgiving weekend. I know, you know, we are short a couple of families just because they did go out of town for Thanksgiving, but I am impressed. Maybe those grandparents and things will sort of make up for them not being here tonight.
Who do y'all got tonight?
I'm going PG.
What score? How much?
I already shared. I believe it's going to be 42-28.
I'm taking Pleasant Grove by a couple of touchdowns because the Hawks definitely want all the smoke.
I think our lines are fixing to wear them out. I think it's going to be over in the third quarter.
Well, I had a friend of mine, we talked a little bit earlier this past week, and I brought up that Sunnyvale, you know, beat us in the 7-on-7, and he quickly reminded me, we're playing 11-on-11 this Friday. So, you know, there is a lot of truth to that, and those extra 4 players, those are going to be the big boys. So I'll be glad to see them and have them tonight.
We've got about a minute or so here before we wrap it up. We've got to take our positions. Jay, anything before we get out of here?
I think I'm hearing a faint "we want PG," but I don't know if we'll hear that by the end of the game or not.
I hadn't heard it. I don't think we're going to hear it tonight. Tony, you got anything before we wrap it up?
No, sir. Just go Hawks.
For Tony Langford, Jay Davis, and Craig Jenkins, we're going to wrap it up here for Texarkana Game Day. We'll see you guys at the half.